Becoming a leader. People grow around the quiet power of who you are. There are two types of leaders in the world. There are leaders who push growth through pressure, who force improvement through urgency, who treat development like compliance, a mandate, a requirement, a checklist item. And then there are leaders who create growth by presence, who elevate people not by force, but by example, who build environments where growth feels natural, expected, inevitable. Leaders who are not just managing performance, they are multiplying capability. The difference between the two is subtle to the eye, but life-changing to the people who experience it. Plenty of leaders tell people to grow. Great leaders make people want to grow. Plenty of leaders say improve. Great leaders create environments where improvement becomes identity. And the rarest leaders of all? They don't just grow people's skills, they grow people's self-belief. When people walk into certain leaders' presence, something happens internally. They sit taller, they think bigger, they speak with more conviction, not because they're being pushed, but because they feel called to bring more of themselves forward. Not controlled, not pressured, but activated. You've felt this before. You've been around someone whose standards quietly elevated yours. Someone whose questions made you think deeper. Someone whose confidence in you made you see more in yourself. Someone who never had to say, grow, because you were already growing in their presence. That's the kind of leader we're talking about today. A leader people grow around. A leader whose presence unlocks potential. A leader who understands that development is not a task. It's an atmosphere. Today we unpack 5 identity shifts that turn a leader into a catalyst. Not by force, but by example, expectation, and energy. Let's begin. Identity shift number 5. Stop trying to motivate people. Start making growth normal. Most leaders try to motivate. They try to inspire. They try to spark energy, enthusiasm, passion. And inspiration is useful, but it is not the foundation of sustainable growth. Motivation spikes, but habits sustain. The leaders people grow around don't rely on motivational moments. They build developmental ecosystems. When development is normal, growth doesn't feel like effort. It feels like environment. In any particular environment, people don't rise because they're pushed. They rise because it feels unnatural not to rise. The best leaders don't ask, how do I motivate my team? They ask, how do I create a space where growth feels expected, supported, and part of who we are? Growth is not a speech. It's a standard. You know you've built a growth culture when improvement isn't an event. It's a reflex. When the question isn't, are you growing? It's, in what way are you growing right now? When people don't feel like they're being judged for effort, they feel seen for evolution. When growth becomes the water everyone swims in, people change without being asked. The leader becomes the environment, and the environment becomes the silent teacher. Growth is no longer a motivational speech. Growth is oxygen. Leadership mindset reflection. Ask yourself, does growth feel optional in your environment or inevitable? Do people develop because you told them to? Or because the air you've created around them makes growth feel like the only natural direction? What one shift will you make this week that will transform development from instruction into atmosphere? Identity shift number 4. Trade answers for questions. Develop thinkers, not followers. Weak leaders give answers quickly. It makes them feel strong. Strong leaders ask questions skillfully. It helps the other person to become strong. When you solve everything for people, they grow dependent. When you teach them how to think, they grow capable. People don't transform when you have all the answers. People transform when you help them learn how to find the answers. A leader people grow around doesn't rush to demonstrate expertise. They focus on building critical thinking capacity. They don't just ask, what happened? They ask, what lesson are we taking from this? They don't ask, what's the problem? They ask, what possibilities are you seeing? They don't ask, what do you think I want? They ask, what do you believe is the right move and why? Answers give people solutions. Questions give people capability. One creates accomplishment. The other creates confidence. And the deepest developmental shift of all? When your people stop asking, what should I do? And start saying, here's what I've decided. Here's why, and here's what I expect next. You didn't become less needed. They became more capable because of you. And leaders who multiply capability never run out of opportunity because they build depth, not dependence. Growth becomes who your people are, not what they are assigned. Leadership mindset reflection. Think of a moment this week when someone asked you for direction. Did you give them the answer, or did you help teach them how to think?
What one question will you use this week to deepen someone's decision-making capacity?
Identity shift number 3. Lead with identity, not control. A leader people grow around does not lead from control. They lead from identity. They don't say, do this because I said so. They reveal, here's who we are, and here's how we operate. Control limits behavior, but identity expands it. Control says, stay within these lines. Identity says, rise to this standard. People don't grow when they are controlled. They grow when they are invited to become more. Leaders who develop others don't build rule followers. They build self-led, internally guided individuals who act with ownership because they see themselves as contributors, not performers. You don't create accountability just by enforcement. You create accountability by aligning identity. Ask yourself, are your people growing because they fear disappointing you? Or are they growing because they don't want to disappoint themselves? High-growth environments don't require constant monitoring. They require consistent modeling. People behave like the expectations around them. They internalize the level you walk in. They rise to the tone you set, not the rules you repeat. Some leaders enforce standards. Transformational leaders embody them, and others absorb the standard by proximity. When who you are sets the tone more than what you demand, you're not just leading, you're multiplying identity. Leadership mindset reflection. Are you leading through correction or through example and expectation? Write down one identity standard you want people to absorb from you this week. Then live it so clearly they don't need to be told. They just start rising with you. Identity shift number 2. Create psychological safety without lowering standards. People don't grow in fear-based environments. They protect themselves in them. People don't stretch when they feel judged. They shrink and hide weakness. People don't take risks when failure means humiliation. They play small to survive. But safety without expectation builds comfort, not capacity. The leaders people grow around master an uncommon balance, high psychological safety, high performance expectation. You can bring your whole self here and still be called higher. You can make mistakes and still be expected to stretch. You can be human and still be held to excellence. Growth happens in tension, not in comfort and not in fear. A leader who creates both safety and standard builds environments where people speak honestly, people take smart risks, people admit weaknesses without losing respect, people ask for feedback without fear of being diminished. People grow because they're not protecting their ego, they're expanding their capability. In those environments, growth doesn't feel like threat. It feels like trust. The leader doesn't say, I need you to prove yourself. Instead, they say, I see your potential. Let's uncover more of it. They don't say, don't fail. They say, failure here is information. Let's learn fast. People don't transform because they fear leaders. People transform because they trust leaders. Leadership mindset reflection. Does your environment produce protection or expansion? What's one behavior you can shift this week to make people feel both supported and stretched? Identity shift number 1. Be the standard that others rise to. Consistency over charisma. The most transformational leaders rarely feel loud or dramatic. They are not leaders because they command attention. They are leaders because their character commands respect. They are consistent. They keep their word. They show discipline when others show emotion. They model the habits they ask for. They are not unpredictable. They are unshakable. People don't grow around them because they're inspired once. People grow around them because they are influenced daily, silently, steadily. Transformation doesn't come from one electrifying moment. It comes from repeated exposure to someone who embodies the level you aspire to reach. Charisma impresses people, but consistency transforms them. When your presence communicates, this is how leaders think. This is how leaders carry themselves. This is how leaders respond. This is how leaders prepare. This is how leaders grow. Then the people around you begin to internalize leadership as identity, not task. They stop looking at you for direction. They start looking at themselves differently. And who they become is shaped by who you consistently are. That is legacy-level leadership. Not the leader who gets applause, but the leader who leaves imprints. Leadership mindset reflection. Which habit, trait, or standard in your life, if dialed up, made more visible, and practiced consistently, would elevate everyone around you? Lead with that this week. Let your example speak louder than your instructions. Leadership mindset. Challenge. Choose one person this week and intentionally develop them. Not by giving them answers, not by directing them, but by inviting them to think, stretch, and own their growth. Ask questions. Model standards. Hold space. Create challenge. Stay consistent. And at the end of the week, ask yourself, did I grow them? Or did I simply manage them? Leaders multiply when growth becomes atmosphere, not agenda. If this episode sharpened your perspective and expanded your leadership lens, follow and subscribe to Leadership Mindset Daily. Then share it with someone building a team, a culture, or a future where growth is expected, supported, and celebrated. This is Leadership Mindset Daily. Mindset matters. Leadership matters. You matter. Follow Leadership Mindset Daily on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and X for your daily dose of proven leadership development tips, tricks, and techniques. See you tomorrow.